Greetings, my name is Chris, aka The Philosopher's Games, or TPH Games as my little games channel here is called, and today I want to discuss a few news about Cyberpunk that I found interesting. Originally I wanted to include other news as well, but I thought I split this up. So here the Cyberpunk news, there will be another video with other gaming news. First one is that on the official Cyberpunk 2077 YouTube channel you find this lore video series called Night City Archives, and they just go through the history of Night City in a short little video and explain what happened, what led to the creation of Night City, how it developed, and so on. There are 3 videos out so far and they are pretty interesting. In my opinion, they should be part of the game, to be honest, like have them on a shard or so you can play them in game. That would be cool. Maybe there will be a mod at some point, but that's definitely something I want to hint at if you're interested in Cyberpunk's lore. Then CD Projekt also shared the information that Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, so the expansion, has sold 4.3 million units since launch. That is a 20% attachment ratio, as they also write. So 20% of the people who bought Cyberpunk also bought the expansion, which I think is a pretty decent number and also quite massive sales for the main release, for the main game. And that's pretty cool. You could say, to kind of celebrate this success, CD Projekt also releases a Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition for Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 and PC. It will release at the 5th of December 2023, which is interestingly the same day the GTA 6 trailer will release, which I guess is not ideal, and it will be available as physical and as digital version. I should mention that there are some inconsistencies with the physical editions of this. If you buy the Xbox Series version, you get the base game and the Phantom Liberty expansion/DLC on discs. If you buy the PlayStation 5 version, you only get the base game on disc, but a code for the Phantom Liberty expansion. And if you buy it on PC, there is no disc in this box at all, and only 2 codes for GOG, so the DRM-free version of it. I guess a bit unfortunate, but who has a disc drive these days on PC? People speculate a bit why there is a difference between the Xbox Series version and the PlayStation 5 version in that regard, and the theory is it has to do with Sony's reviewing process being very strict. So if you make a on-disc version, it is considered a new build and has to go through all the reviewing process again, which takes maybe too long, would have delayed the release and so on. As a result, they say, yeah, it's not worth it, we just add it as a code and be done with it. And of course, some similar versions of other games in the past for PlayStation 5 have done it like this as well. So it seems to be an organizational issue. But that is not all. They will also release a big free update called Patch 2.1. And this patch includes many new gameplay elements and new features for the game that are quite anticipated, I would say. This patch 2.1 will release at the same day as the Ultimate Edition, so at the 5th of December 2023. And it includes the following things which we will discuss a little bit. First of all, they will add a metro system to the game, which is very surprising in my opinion. We've always seen V using the metro, like in the 2018 E3 trailer and so on. Even in context of Phantom Liberty, we have seen that, and now it becomes reality and we can actually ride with the metro. The implementation currently in the game is that if you reach a metro station, you can just use it as fast travel point. And if you want to actually ride the metro train through the city, you could use a mod, a very sophisticated and cool one called Metro System. And this one, I'll link it in the description if you want to try it out. It's pretty awesome, but it has some limitations. Like if you use it, you for example can't use the train stations as fast travel points anymore. They just teleport you to the metro station, then you can enter the metro from there. That I would at least call a little downside. However, in the new system that they implement into the game, you can decide if you want to fast travel or ride with the metro. When you are in the metro, you will actually be able to skip also driving there. So if you have done enough sightseeing from the metro and say, well, I just need to get to the station, you can press skip ahead and then you are at the station. So that's also pretty neat, to be honest. And one thing that was never possible so far with the Metro mod was there were never passengers in the Metro. And now we have actually seen in the footage of the stream of CD Projekt that there are passengers there. They even might interact with you, which I found very cool and interesting. So looking forward to this little immersive feature that they add. What I also found very interesting seeing in the stream where they showed some footage of the Metro system was that they also seem to teleport you at a certain place when you decide to ride the Metro, same as the mod does it. So it's interesting that both implementations seem to be very similar in that regard. Also, huge shout out and thank you to the modder NexusGuy999 who made the Metro system mod. Really much appreciated. You outdid CD Projekt basically by 2 years, and now your vision becomes part of the actual game. That's maybe also cool to see, and I hope that he might be able to improve what CD Projekt is implementing now into the game with his expertise. That would be very cool to see. In this context, they also add another feature that is currently available as a mod, Pocket Radio the mod is called, and they add that you can listen to the radio while walking, so a portable radio. I think you get an item for it, and that's also a pretty cool feature. The question is though, why is this not in the main game? Though again, as with the Metro system, it seems this also is a bit improved versus the mod, because they definitely want that the radio is not in the way of certain scenes in the game. And this, of course, has the potential to cause some issues and bugs here and there. So curious how this will work for people going through a playthrough and using this feature. But the idea is you have like a dramatic scene in the game, and then the radio stops playing before the scene happens, so you don't have funny music over a dramatic scene and so on. Further, also, when a specific action sequence has its own music, then the radio also stops and you listen to the in-game music. So it is a bit more sophisticated, I guess, than the classic pocket radio in this regard. Another cool thing they added is a new repeatable side activity, this time street racing. You remember maybe these side missions with Claire where you do have to do street races with her, and it seems like they added this now also to the game as repeatable little activities you can do. Pretty cool addition to the game. And if we look into the footage, we see that in one scene, Johnny Silverhand appears on the co-driver seat, whatever you call it in English, as a passenger in the car. And the question is if this only happens during races or also in normal traffic. Maybe he also comments on your driving. That would be funny, or maybe after a time annoying. Difficult to tell, but it is a cool addition. Interestingly, a few weeks ago a mod came out called The Passenger that also adds Johnny Silverhand as a passenger to your car, that after like 5 or 50 seconds he spawns inside. You are then not sitting alone anymore in the car, which I think is also a cool little immersion mod. Put it also into my mod list, but it seems potentially we get this little feature in-game as well. When it comes to the rewards for the racing, it seems that is very similar to the car stealing missions for El Capitan, where you steal a car, bring it to him, and then you get like a discount for other cars and some materials and weapons and so on. So a pretty nice loot always. The loot box or the reward for the racing seems to be very similar to that. So there's that. In this context, I also want to mention that they will add new vehicles with this patch as well. 5 new motorcycles, because there are not that many new motorcycles in-game now with Phantom Liberty and 2.0. So it's a very nice addition for people who like driving those. And there will at least be 1 new vehicle, which is like the cabriolet version of the Porsche of Johnny Silverhand. Don't worry, the old one will not be replaced. Speaking of motorcycles, it seems they also improved and reworked how motorcycles handle and kind of the motorcycle mechanics in the game. They explained that, for example, if you would go now into a concrete tube, you could go like in circles or do, what do you call it, loopings inside it. So stuff like this, you can do wheelies now. So it seems they also added some additional control that you can get over it, doing some stunts and stuff. Further, you can also now throw your throwing knives from a motorcycle, which is also very cool. I'm also playing a throwing knife build, which is, in my opinion, very powerful, so that is pretty cool to see, in my opinion. Further, if you now drive through the city and kill some gang people with your throwing knives, for example, the gangs will become angry and start chasing you. They also mentioned, if I understood this correctly, that also some decisions that you do in some gigs and side missions against gangs will also influence how they kind of react to you. So the gangs become more interactive and more interesting in the city. And that is, it could be very annoying at times, I guess, but also pretty cool, to be honest. That's definitely something I like seeing in the game. And if this is done well, I could see this as a pretty awesome addition to the game. Another big feature or improvement they talked quite a bit about are boss fights. It seems like they reworked a lot of them and made them better, improved them in some way. As an example, they took the, spoiler, Adam Smasher boss fight and made him more interesting, reacting to your playstyle a bit better and so on. So that sounds also pretty promising, because some of the vanilla boss fights are not that interesting and definitely needed a little upgrade here. Another new feature that they will add, and that might be very interesting for a lot of people, is that there will be now some hangout place for romance partners. So you can meet with your romance partners in-game. Previously, they kind of added that some of your romance partners might write you messages and so on in-game. So they improved this here and there a little bit, of course, over the time already. But you could never really meet with them again. It was like, okay, we romance, check mark, we will never talk to each other. So no new dialogue lines and so on. And there were many mods, though, that kind of try to fix this. A classic is like Night City interactions, where you can go into a bar or something and summon an NPC, or also the NPCs you romanced, and then have a drink with them. So that was already cool and immersive, a little addition to the game, and that should be in the base game. And it seems like they kind of addressing this problem here. Not sure how this is implemented exactly. They, I think, talked about like a hangout place, something like that. So I'm not sure if it's a specific place, an apartment or whatever. Maybe it's also multiple places, or it's also interactions in certain locations like bars and so on. Very difficult to tell. But it's cool that they address this, and of course there are still like a ton of mods kind of addressing this as well, with adding quest lines, giving like your romance partners like day routines when they are present on the Night City map at somewhere and so on. So definitely there's a lot for that, and that kind of reflects on that there's a demand for this. Another feature they also talked a bit about are new accessibility settings. There will be now a whole new category called accessibility, and all the settings for it are listed there, so you don't have to look in the gameplay and here and there to find all of them, which makes things for sure easier to find, which is appreciated, and they add also new features. I will link you the news article about the accessibility features, and there you can look up what they do exactly, but it's like font size, different colorblind modes, all kinds of things. Also some settings that make the game maybe easier for some people who struggle in certain areas or find some elements too stressful or annoying. So that is very nice to see that they add this, and much appreciated, of course. I think in the context of accessibility, they also mentioned that they will now add support for PC players for DualSense. So that is a PlayStation 5 controller. I use a PlayStation 5 controller if I use one on PC, though Cyberpunk I usually play with mouse and keyboard, but I will definitely test it and see how it works, because not many games add this DualSense support for their PC versions. That's a bit unfortunate, so it's nice to see this here. In addition, there will also be, in context of accessibility, new HUD options that they want to add. So a very sophisticated update. It might be that some of the classic HUD mods won't work for some time. I hope that they are not gone for too long, because I find it very cool to not show certain HUD elements in certain situations. Like limited HUD is really a fantastic mod for that. It's nice to see that they also add more options there in the base game, because mods are not available on all the platforms, of course. Another one is they mentioned they will add more car chases in the game, so there is also some additional content here and there in some form. They might also add some bug fixes and might also add some performance improvements. I could imagine they might also improve something like ray reconstruction so that the implementation of this and the AI stuff gets a little better there. Would be also interesting to see, but they didn't talk about that. And the last point they talked or briefly mentioned is that there is an abandoned highway that connects Japantown to like other places in Night City, and it is blocked, like there's no traffic on it, and you can of course walk there, summon your vehicle there and drive around this, and this way you can easily escape the police. They're now saying that this abandoned highway will be opened after this, when this patch releases, and then be usable. There will be traffic and so on, so you have to find a new way to get rid of the police, I guess. It's interesting to see that they opened this highway, because I never thought about this, and this is an interesting addition, I have to admit. Maybe we also will get a message that kind of announces that, oh, the closed highway is now opened, you can use it. I also think they mentioned that for the metro system you will also get a message for the ticket and maybe a little explanation how it works. Expect some new messages when you download 2.1 and start the game. And this brings us to the end of the video. I maybe have forgotten something, but I hope you found this remotely useful. If so, press the like button. Leave a comment, tell me what you think about all these changes and new features that will come to the game. And also subscribe if you want more gaming content or more Cyberpunk related content, because I really like the game in its current state and enjoy covering it in all the different forms. Keep in mind when the update comes out that mods won't work, and the modders will work on it to make everything work again with 2.1 for sure. So be a bit patient there, don't annoy the modders. Check also my other stuff, Twitch and YouTube, Lord of the Rings stuff, and I don't know, Twitter or X or whatever it's called right now. I would say thank you people for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.